Welcome to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. Really excited for this particular episode, so welcome. I am Mike Ricksecker, author and ghost historian. With me, as always, is Vanessa, my co-host, and Shauna, our chat shenanigator down there in the chat room. A special guest tonight, Katie Hopkins. She's been with us before when we interviewed Unknown Darkness back in the summer, but we have her back on for another reason, and that is her book, Seeing Spirits, was released, I want to say today. It was supposed to be today. It went out yesterday. But Amazon just kind of jumping the gun there. So very, very happy. It's a Haunted Road Media book, and we are proud to have Katie Hopkins with us as one of our Haunted Road Media authors. And so Katie, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So, so I guess just let's jump right into it. So, this book, you'd sent me a story for Encounters with the Paranormal 3. You had some other ones in mind that you were, talking about. Okay, you were interested in writing a book. You wanted to know a little bit more about publishing and all that. And then all of a sudden, boom, here's all these additional stories that just kind of came out of the woodwork. So Zippy Davis with a $5 super chat to start everything off. Thank you, Zippy. Says, to start of a great stream. Yes, this will be a great one. Thank you, Zippy. Appreciate that. Super chat superstar. So, Katie, you just boom, got inspired. So let's talk about what you got.
Yeah. Oh man, I know, it was crazy. It just came to me all of a sudden. It was just like, bam. All right, let me just start writing. But I mean, it goes back, 20 years, and it goes back 6 years. So it's a compilation of so many things put in one. Clearly, I have to thank you both for helping me and inspiring me to do this. And Adam, of course, Tillery, who also a good friend of mine. So I was also talked to him. But I just was like, you know what? Why not? Why not write a book? I have all these experiences. I have all these things that have happened to me, and I didn't want to hold them back anymore. So I said, all right, let's start writing. And I know I messaged Vanessa quite a bit and said, do I put this in there? Do I not put it in there? I mean, are people going to think this is nuts? And of course, Vanessa's like, no, just do it. And I did it. So, yeah.
You write the book for yourself.
Yeah.
And those who love you and are interested in what happened to you will love the book. It's that simple. It really is that simple. I'm so proud of you. Because I remember how scared we were. It was terrified, Mike. She's like, should I do it?
Let's do it.
Do the book.
Yeah. That's the thing is, I never opened up to, the person I opened up to the most was clearly Josh, husband.
Yeah.
And my family, of course, my mom and my dad and my siblings, all supportive and whatnot. But it was the fact of getting it out there to everybody. And that was one thing too, as I kind of processed it all after I wrote it, sent it to you, Mike, and I was like, I hope people can read this and do the exact same thing that I did. Just say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to write. I'm going to not even write a book, just express that they may have these abilities and don't hold them back. Because that was my biggest fear, was I didn't know if I really wanted people to know about it. So... And then I was like, all right, I got it.
Yeah, so and we have an initial question from Fungi. So is this book like an autobiography? And Tom McNicholas, $25 super chat. Wow, thank you, Tom. Absolutely appreciate that. He said, to Katie's new book.
Oh,
thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
Greatly appreciated. Absolutely. And there's Shauna. She said her internet and computer are pissing her off. She has, it's Frontier. It's Frontier. So, but back to the question from Fungi. So, like an autobiography, it essentially is, because it's your story, how you've got started in the paranormal, your path, but also gives a lot of insight into what you've seen, what you've experienced, and what it's like to be an empath. And so it's seeing spirits, opening the empathic door. So talk a little bit about your empathic journey.
Sure. Well, it really, if you really dive deep into it, it really started when I was 10 years old. That's when I saw my first spirit. At the time, did I process it as a spirit? Probably not. But once I became more knowledgeable and I started researching, and it took me 13 years to figure out, even longer than that, to figure out what I saw when I was 10. And as you know, this story is in the book, but I saw a spirit of an elderly man sitting in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth. And it was over at my neighbor's house at the time, neighbors to my parents. And you're going to like this one, Mike. I don't know if I've told you this yet, but come to find out, the man that I described probably is not my neighbor. The man that I described, I honestly don't know who he is. I was trying to remember what my neighbor looked like. And I was like, well, it's in my neighbor's house. Why is it not him? So I was like, all right, put two and two together. It was probably him. Well, I'm talking to my mom one day, and I was explaining to her this story, and I showed her the illustration and told her the description, and she said, Katie, that's not your neighbor. I said, okay, so apparently my neighbor was tall and thin. This guy was not. But anyways, that's really where it all started, and then kind of dwindled off during my early teenage years and through high school because I was active. I mean, the thing on my mind wasn't paranormal stuff.
Right, at that age, not usually.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was in sports. I mean, I was a cheerleader, and I water skied and did all this stuff. So I was busy, and my brother was also only a few years older than me, so he was involved in sports too. So I got most school spirit in high school. So,
there you go.
So you can see where my mind was when
We've
I
got
was
spirit,
that age.
yeah. And Vanessa was a cheerleader too, so there you go.
Yeah. Woohoo! Spirit fingers, and of course it's called spirit, right? But yeah, and then I got further into it. Started watching the ghost shows when I was a senior in high school, around 2004, 2005, and that was right when Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters started. I wasn't a big that show fan, but I did like Ghost Hunters. I liked it more for the history than really anything else, and I was like, oh, cool, maybe there are spirits. So then fast forward another 5 years, I'm working at the Grout Museum and come across this old Victorian home and ends up being haunted. And that's really where everything kind of kicked off. And just with these last 6 years have been really where I've grown the most, though, especially with, the empathic abilities and things like that. And, I think everybody has empathic abilities. Everybody's able to have that intuition about someone or something and feel that energy. Mine just grew over 6 years. And there's been some instances where it's been at its height, and there's been some instances where I can't really see what's going on. But, that's basically where it all began, was the Russell House in Waterloo. And from there, so many other stories.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stories in there. So here's
You've hit on something that I think is really important, and I wanted us to discuss that for just a second. Being empathic, people, they hear the definition of it. I think they have a basic understanding of it. But what I don't think that the majority of the population realizes is that yes, you can feel other people's emotions and you can take that in and everything else. But I believe that we are all kind of pre-wired to really draw to one type of energy for us. Mm-hmm. I think mine is the hardest one for me to process on somebody is shame or embarrassment. It'll break me every time. Every time. I can't even watch movies with that in it. Mm-hmm. It's so for me. I believe that some are drawn to the anger, and that's why so many people have issues. What do you find that you're most drawn to?
Like I had asked you, the other day about how I can easily see things from a traumatic incident or maybe a place of violence, just like the Missouri State Penitentiary, or like I sent you the one from that hospital in Anamosa. But I have an easy time seeing all of that, and it's usually and this, you said this in your live feed the other night too, the one that I had asked you to do. You said, well, they see that compassion in you, so they come to you. I've had 2 instances now with that. One at the Farrar Schoolhouse, and now this last one with the guy that was chained to the wall. So I would definitely say I don't like saying that that's the one that they come to me for, but I don't look at it more as the negative side. I look at it more as they see compassion in me to be able to see them and be able to hear their story, because I've had a few people tell me, well, they come to you because they see that compassion and you're not going to judge them.
A lot of people have a hard time with that. I get chastised a lot for talking to the mean ones by the general public because of my compassion. I totally get it. By the way, you need to talk about the chain guy in your next book. Oh, you can put that picture in. That's your picture.
It was funny. You know, it's funny.
Katie was saying earlier today, hey, I already have ideas for a second book, so there you go.
Yeah, and that's already written down. So
nice. We do have a question from Shauna. It says, Katie, I don't ever feel emotions from people still amongst the living. I only feel emotions from spirits. Are you the same?
You know, I honestly, that is a hard question for me to answer, because I still feel like I can feel people's emotions from the living. Just like it's just like you walk, it's that tension, I guess, the more that I feel from the living, or negative. I mean, you walk into a room and you know somebody is madder than hell at the world, and I can feel that energy from them, and I'm like, all right, I gotta step back, because holy cow, this is not good. And then the positive energy too. Absolutely. I mean, you can feel that positive energy. I think when the sun's shining and it's 60 degrees out like it was today, it makes it a lot better to have that positive energy going.
When it's 2 degrees out, not so much.
Oh gosh, that's when everybody's mad at the world. So, right. But no, I honestly think I more with clearly spirits and whatnot, because that's where I'm in tune with. But I think I can still, feel or at least sense the energy around from the living.
Okay. Now I had quickly flashed up the book cover. And so there were some questions in the chat about what exactly is this on the cover. So this is artwork by Adam Tillery here. Woohoo! And that's the front cover, and this here is there it is. There's the full cover. So so what exactly are we looking at here?
Oh, that guy is from the Pollock Hospital in Peoria, Illinois. Josh actually saw that too. So this wasn't actually a vision, of an empathic vision. This was an actual shadow figure standing in front of us. That guy there, we were in part of the Pollock Hospital is also known as the Haunted Infirmary. It's a commercial haunted house around Halloween time, but it was also a hospital during the 1950s, I believe is when it was built. And we were in one of the areas that was the psych ward of the haunted house, and laying on these wooden bed things. And we're just having casual conversation, chatting, because we kind of find that triggers, activity sometimes. Instead of calling things out and trying to make themselves known, we just start talking. And so we all were chatting, and all of a sudden we all look over at the entrance of the doorway, and that's what we saw. Probably 7.5 feet tall and slender, and very just ominous feeling to him, very malicious. And we all popped up and stopped in our tracks. We didn't move. And but Josh and also the other investigator with us at that time saw that as well. So there's a little bit more to him in the book, but just to trigger your interest in that guy.
Pique your curiosity a little bit.
Yeah.
So
he was something else. And he's one of three or four shadow figures like that I've seen.
Yeah, see, I'm going to want to pick your brain a little bit on experiences that you've had about with shadow people for my Shadow Person book. So
yeah, there you
go. I'll be throwing some questions at you. Quick question from Spreaker, from Matt. Where exactly are you from?
Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
Not too far from you, Matt.
Yeah, I have a question. When it comes to your abilities, have you found that not just have they grown with age, but different places you've lived, were some of them a little bit more ripe for the picking than others? How has that worked out for you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. And honestly, thinking of that, yeah, absolutely. Because like how we were talking about living in Germany, living in Hawaii. I lived right on Pearl Harbor. I mean, talk about energy. I mean, those are the two very historic places I've lived. I lived in a dorm in college as well, that was very haunted, up at Northern Iowa. So yeah, I mean, I definitely can pick out certain things in certain areas. Now, the emotions in Germany, those were more confused emotions that I felt, because the place we lived, it was an army barracks for the German soldiers in World War II. And then after that, after the war, the United States took over. So, I mean, are they confused about that? Not really quite sure. Pearl Harbor, I mean, you can just imagine all the emotions there. I mean, you have anger, you have, sorrow, you have so many different emotions you can feel there. But yeah, that's all the places I've lived. My house isn't haunted, but but I mean, my house is very happy, energy house. But the more historic locations, or like even just towns, you can definitely feel the energies there. So.
Another question from Shauna. Do you think that as time goes on, you spend more time tuned into the dead than the living? Will it desensitize you to the living?
Oh man, I hope. Sometimes I hope it doesn't. Sometimes I hope it doesn't. But gosh, that's one to really think. Yeah, that's a really,
You start not responding to the living at all. Just
right.
ignore
Yeah.
everyone. Oh wait, you're not dead. Forget it.
Yeah. You're not dead. I can't talk to
right.
you. Josh is giving me a look.
Let's delve into that real quick, Katie. I'm going to go ahead and tell you your future.
Oh,
yes,
there we
it
go.
will. Yes, it will. When you get to be my age, when you get to be my age, Missy, it will. It will not desensitize. Isn't the proper word for me, for the way I would explain it. But yeah, you become a lot less tolerant of whining and bitching and moaning and groaning and my life sucks, and you get exactly what Mike just said. Dude, you're not dead. Shut up. I mean, truly.
Yeah,
truly, you really do. You're like, I got plenty of people behind me. You can't see them, but they'll tell you how fucked up your reasoning is. I
like Joe Chandler in chat. She says sometimes the dead are more respectful.
That's
true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, that's 100% true. Yeah, I mean, right now, I really only, there was one incident this last week that my mind all of a sudden just went off another place, and I don't know if I might have messaged you about this one, Vanessa. I was sitting at work, and many people have heard of the Joker from Edinburgh Manor, and all of a sudden he just popped right in my head, and I was just like, all right, why is he coming to me? I mean, he follows Josh and I everywhere we go. Not to our home, but any haunted location we go to, he's there. You can feel his presence. When he's there. Josh knows when he's there. So I've kind of started noticing things like that popping up in my mind a little bit more. I try to shut it off and not really do anything like that when I don't have to. But I've noticed things popping, and it happens around investigation times, which we have one this weekend. So I've noticed it coming to me more during investigation times than any other times.
Now, I don't know who the Joker is. I've never heard about him. I've never been to Edinburgh Manor. But are you talking to him when you're on these other investigations? Because he's trying to help. Trust me.
Huh.
Trust me.
Interesting.
We don't talk to him, We'll talk to him a little bit. I mean, he at the manor was a pretty malicious guy. Jokes around and stuff, but and when that was the thing, when we wanted activity, when we were in those stages, like we have to go somewhere, we have to have activity, we know he'd give it to us. But when we feel his spirit, we'll just say, hey, Joker, is that you? And sometimes we'll get answers, sometimes we won't. But we don't try to engage him too much just because of experiences we've had in the past.
Just keep in mind, and I'm only saying this because of personal experiences for myself. Mm-hmm. How they behave at their primary location is very different than how they will behave if they have followed you or hopped on another location. Mm-hmm. He is, in his own mind, believing to protect in one area. He's actually helping in another. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's true. It's not.
Excuse me.
Try it. Just try it.
I already told Josh this too. I think he's going to show up this weekend. I don't get him very often. I mean, only when we're at locations. And when he popped in my head this last week, I was like, oh, maybe he's going to show up on Saturday. So I'll let you know.
Look at it this way. He has information you don't.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this. If he's following you around to other locations and he pops up here and again, why is your house a sanctuary? Because you're saying nothing happens there.
I honestly don't.
Do you have anything set up, or is it?
Yeah. My chocolate-covered strawberries went missing today, Josh says. Okay. Honestly, Mike, I don't know if I can really answer that. I've never had experiences with him at my house. Okay. I don't know if he's more of a spirit that knows where he's welcome and knows where he's not welcome. I mean, we don't cleanse our house. We probably should sage every once in a while, but it doesn't come to my mind when I'm at it's my sanctuary, I guess. This is my, this is my home. I don't allow those things to come in here.
Just like shielding.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Could he ever come here? Probably. Would we know right away? I'm sure. And I'd probably kick him right out. But, I honestly, we just never have had any experiences with him here. Now at Josh's parents' house, they have experiences with paranormal stuff. Not necessarily the Joker, but they have had spirits follow them. Mm-hmm.
See, to me, he seems, and I don't know this from Adam, but to me, he seems like a crotchety old grandpa that likes shit how he likes it when he's at the manor. But he has a very protective vibe for you. Huh. He's that grandpa nobody likes, okay?
Yeah.
But still has his favorites. So I know it sounds weird.
That could be Josh and I, and that could be why he doesn't come here, because he knows that I wouldn't like him here. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe.
Communication.
So we have a question from Donna Gorton, one of our Cheshire cats. She asks, we empaths all have to shield at times. What's your method?
Turning my brain off. No. I've always been told, picture the white light, do all of that, and yada, yada. I think I've controlled my brain enough, though, or I have at least trained my brain enough to just shut it off. Mm-hmm. And when I shut it off, yeah, of course, like at work the other day, Joker popped in my head, but I quickly was able to get off of that. And of course, I keep some sage around and I keep all of that, but I really I shut my brain off and it seems to work. So that's what I do, to shield myself. Or, it's more of the fact of just knowing your limits too. And if you feel, just like in the book, when I talk about the Buchanan County home, Josh and I went there one night and we felt so uncomfortable we had to leave and we left. That's one of your biggest protection things you can do for yourself is leaving. And, if you pray or whatever your method may be, we leave every time we leave a location. We'll tell spirits they can't follow us. They can't, do any of that attached to us, yada, yada. So I think that's also, part of our method too, but it's one, leaving, and two, with being able to sense that energy, not only protecting myself, but protecting my teammates too.
A strong will does a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not being, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to say egotistic, but not thinking that you're higher than them, because they can see you and you can't see them sometimes, and they can block their energy just like you can, block yours from them. And and so you can't think you're all high and mighty just because you're a physical human being. You gotta just say, nope, I'm done, and check out.
If anything, they're more enlightened. Mm-hmm. And people forget that. I mean, we're confined to this physical form, whereas they're not. They can go anywhere. They can see anything. They can, for the most part, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. So to me, they're enlightened. Way more than I am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they need me for communication. They need you for communication, but them learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they at least know a few more things since they were on that other side.
Yeah, like they can scratch you without a consequence. I mean, if I go up and scratch someone, they're probably not going to care about that or care for that too much.
Yeah, I like the fact that you put that way. Is take the ego out of it. Mike and I say that all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't put a dent in it, but we try.
Yes. I've been on too many investigations where people have just tried to use their power all high and mighty. Well, I command you in the name of Jesus Christ, and what are you talking about? Or we had one time, I was in the military, and this is this. I'm like, why are you using that? You're more likely pushing them away than you are pulling them in. So,
well, and I mean,
it's better to use honey.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand somebody needing for their own personal thing to say, I command you in the name of Jesus Christ. But what if the spirit you're speaking to is Jewish, or is Buddhist, or is atheist? I mean, it kind of doesn't really have an effect. How about just saying, dude, come on, talk to me.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah.
Right. Dude. I mean, people may think spirits are all one religion or something. Who knows?
Well, we have a couple more questions from the chat. We'll start with Shauna's. Katie, what is your stone of choice used at investigations?
Oh, well, in the past, I honestly... This is a good one, Shauna. You're putting me on the spot. Honestly, I probably should get some more stones. The ones I've had in the past, just because of the locations that we were at that current time, Buchanan County Home, black tourmaline was one that we kept with us a lot. That's probably the main one that I've really had with me. Funny story about that too is I had the black tourmaline with me, and we were at the Buchanan County Home. I don't know if I ever told Josh this either. I went to take it out of my. Yeah, I went to take. I had it in my purse, and I kept it there, and then I would put it in my pocket during the investigations, because the Buchanan County Home is just a rancid place. It's nasty. It's vile. I mean, and you've read my stories. That's the one in Encounters with Paranormal 3, and there's a few others in the book, but to be able to protect us with the stones, that's the one that I felt was the best. And I went and put the black tourmaline back in my purse, and I always kept it in a safe spot so it wouldn't get harmed. Opened it up the next day, and it was crushed all over in my purse. Yeah. So that was probably one of the last investigations we did there, with the guy that's on the back of the book. So that was the last time I used that. I mean, I love quartz and all of that too. Yeah, that's him. There he is. Oh, he still haunts my dreams. But quartz is also, one that I like, and I feel like it's a nice stone to have. But I probably should get back to a place and get some more stones, because we haven't been on.
When you are at the Paracon in June, stop by It's Raining Zen. They have every stone you could ever imagine there.
Awesome.
Fantastic shop.
Actually, stop by my table.
Oh, are you going to have some there?
What I am going to be bringing specific things from Ireland that will be adapted by me, so they will be literally centuries old.
There you go. Awesome.
I have best stuff.
Yeah, I'm bringing, especially if you need a room.
Ooh, I like rings.
Cool.
Yeah. Room.
A what? Oh, you just cut out. Oh.
Yeah, Vanessa's gone.
Oh. There we go. There she is.
Haroon. Yeah.
Rune.
So yeah, I'm going to be bringing back stones from Ireland. So
God, I will be there.
Yes, you better be. And if I don't
it.
between now and then, because I'm going to be gone and stuff, you're going to have copies, right?
Of my book?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
She just ordered some. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On top of it.
Yeah. Earmark me a copy and sign it, please, because I will purchase it when we're there. Yay.
Yeah.
So a couple of quick back-to-back questions from Spreaker, from Matt and Chuck, and they both say hello from Iowa because they're also both in Iowa. Matt wants to know if you meditate, and Chuck wants to know when you learned that you had abilities.
Meditation? No. I don't actually. I've done some angelic healing before. That's probably the closest to a meditative state, I guess you could say, if that's a word. That's probably the closest that I've gotten to with anything like that. But no, I don't meditate. Probably should. My abilities, probably, probably when I went to the Farrar School back in 2012. But at that time, I just thought, okay, the spirit's just messing with me. I didn't think of it as empathic ability, but looking back at it now, I understand. When I had the experience at the Buchanan County home with the guy in the back of the book, that was when I was really like, okay, there's something going on here. Why am I seeing this? They're not seeing this. And to validate it, the guy that had his back scratched, I kind of just all put it into perspective there that I was seeing this and this stuff was going on. When I was starting in 2012, that one was at the Farrar School, and you'll hear the story of the crazy man in the book. At that point in time, I just thought it was a spirit. It was a heavy spirit. He's messing with me. This is what it is. It's not empathic. And I honestly, at that point in time, I was such a amateur investigator that I didn't really know what it was. And I just and everybody had been telling me, well, spirits can take you over, take your energy over. They can manipulate you, yada, yada. But nobody ever explained to me empathic abilities. So after my own research and everything, that's when I was able to figure out what was going on and what I could do.
Now, the more you tune into your empathic abilities, the more what you just said becomes true. Mm-hmm. So I'm speaking from experience. So that is something that you do need to be careful with. Always have somebody with you. Have Josh with you, no matter what. Make sure he knows what to look for. Yeah. And the biggest thing, and I'm going to say this right now. Josh, you listening? Okay.
Yeah, he's listening. He's right back
he's
here.
Right there.
Yeah. If that does happen to you, and it will, okay? If that does happen to you, Josh, when she's doing that, just keep an eye on her. Don't let her run off, and let her do her thing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, Vanessa's been known to run off.
Yeah. Only if it looks like she's in danger should you intervene. And a lot of people are going to say that is bullshit, that you shouldn't do that. Trust me. Trust me. As long as she is not in danger, just let her do her thing. Mm-hmm. Please.
And yeah, we have actually, this wasn't even me. This was a different investigator with us at the time. And I'll say her name because she won't care. It's Brittany, who was on our team when we first started. And this story's in the book. She was taken over at the Buchanan County home. Oh, it's such a magical place. Yeah, right. And Adam says, Josh, my boy. But anyways, she was taken over by a spirit there. And this was in a case, we let it go for a little bit, but then we had to stop it. We had to take her to a church, put crystals in her hand and say St. Michael's prayer for her to come out of this. She came to in the car at the church, looked at me and said, what in the world are we doing at a church? And I said, you don't have any idea what was just going on? And she's like, no. She's like, why are we at a church? And I explained to her, she didn't even believe us. And we had to show her video in order for her to believe it. and there was an EVP, and Josh just got shivers. There's an EVP that we caught, and it said her name in a deep growly voice. It was like Brittany, and that's another story that just gives you tingles everywhere. So that case, yeah, Brittany may have been gone. You never know. Josh has seen me, in certain areas, and there's another story actually from Edinburgh Manor. We had an event there with a bunch of guests, and we were investigating in the basement, and we were back by the old padded room, and I just started breaking down crying. I don't cry very often. I'm not a huge emotional person that way, and I couldn't stop. My tears were flowing. I had to our protocol especially at the manor, you don't go by yourself. At this point in time, I zoned in and I got the heck out of there, and got outside, recouped, got myself back together, and went back down the same area. Same thing happened. Lost my control, just started crying, and literally to crying where I couldn't breathe. It was bad. And so they stopped the investigation. Josh comes out, and Josh and I have been dating for maybe 2 weeks. So here I am bawling my eyes out, and he looks at me and he's just like, well, what's going on? And this was back in 2013. Adam actually was at that event. Adam and Alec, they were our special guests at that event. And Josh looks at me, he's like, what's going on with you? Why are you okay? And I said, I don't know. I just couldn't stop crying.
I like that story because, you were breaking down, having this moment, and Josh was a good dude about that. So I had lots of respect for Josh for that one.
He put a ring on it. Yeah. So we're good.
But now, do you feel, looking back, hindsight being 2020, would you say that at that point in time you were being taken over? Or would you say that your empathic abilities were on point, and that you were feeling those emotions in that room because there was another in that room with those emotions, and that was the only way she, and I'm going to say she because it is a woman, could communicate?
I think you're right on the spot with it just being the empathic ability. Just feeling that's how that spirit wanted to manifest to me was, hey, I'm going to let you feel everything that I'm feeling. I agree with you. I think it was a very female and female energy as well. So, and we were right next to the old padded room, and that's 100% right. Yeah. With the empathic, just put all their emotions just like a water bucket being dumped on you. It was just their emotions everywhere.
We have a interesting question from the chat. This is from Spooky Spectacular, or Dawn. She wants to know, does anybody else in Katie's family have abilities? So is this hereditary at all?
Yeah, nobody ever tried, I guess. If anybody could, I'd probably think it was my sister Emily. She's pretty in tune with that kind of stuff. Sarah gets really scared at investigations. It's funny. She was, she's been on a few, Farrar kind of scarred her a little bit. I think Josh does, but Josh clearly wouldn't be hereditary.
That if he was, I think he'd have other issues going on there.
There would be. Yeah. So,
could it be? Let me ask this. The older generation a lot of times didn't like to talk about those sorts of things. So, is there maybe something that, can you think of any? I don't know. Grandparents, great aunts and uncles, anybody like that may have been?
Great grandma, mom's side.
The one on my mom's side, is that what you said?
Grandma on your mom's side.
She could. She's not. She's pretty religious, which I'm not saying you can't be religious.
Which could be why she never talked about it.
Right, exactly. But I feel like my grandma Hass, my dad's mom, she's been my grandfather passed away in November, as you know, and she's been very in tune with things going around at the house. So, for example, there was a leaf that blew up into her awning, right a few weeks, or maybe a week after my grandpa died. And the biggest thing with my grandpa was every time there was a bunch of leaves he said all those damn leaves would always blow into my yard. He got so mad. He's damn leaves, they're in my yard. So about a week after he passed, big wind gust came through, and this one leaf stuck up in the awning. And that leaf just blew out of that awning this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
it was there for 3 months.
That's a long time to be stuck.
Yeah. So Grandma always asks me a lot about the paranormal. So I think if anybody in the older generation of my family could, I think it would be her for sure.
Who wore the St. Michael's pendant?
The St. Michael's pendant? I don't know. I'll have to ask.
Ask.
Yeah. At his funeral or?
No,
just in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to ask who has it. Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody does, because I mean, between a lot of my family members, I'll have to ask for sure.
There's a strong
really off topic. Really off topic, Vanessa. I'm supposed to let you know this is from Chuck Banks, that he is bringing you geodes in June.
Yes.
So Chuck Banks, Beyond the Light Network. We're simulcasting, of course. YouTube is our main show, but we're also simulcasting in Periscope and also through Beyond the Light Network on Spreaker. So,
and I apologize, y'all. I'm normally in the chat, and I got tired of looking down at my phone. So
that's okay. I'm looking down enough for you as I watch the chat go.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, Donna Gorton has another question. So, Katie, now that your book is out, has your family changed how they relate to you?
No. I mean, like, I guess in what way? Like, in the paranormal way, or?
I guess, I don't know.
If they disagreed with any of it. That's how
maybe they look at you more strangely or something because of
no, they already knew I was crazy, so no. No, I mean, honestly, if it's changed my family's perspective in any way, which I don't think it has, I think they're extremely proud. My mom, for one, posts a lot about being proud and of following something that I'm passionate with.
That's good.
Never in a million years would, exactly. And never in a million years would they ever look at me and discredit what I'm saying. We're a very close family, and if anything, they're proud, and they're all excited to read the book and find out more crazy stories. So
bring your mom at a Paracon. I want to hug her.
Yeah. Oh, she'd love it. Yeah. I told her she needs to go to one. I go, Mom, it's not just, ghosts and things. And she believes in it, whether she likes to, admit it or not. But, Mom, if you're listening, which you probably are, you believe because you ask me many questions. I told her, because she's not, it scares her a little bit. But I tell her, I say, Mom, you have to go. They have so much like jewelry and all these, cool things that you can get. And I'm going to get her to one at some point because she loves jewelry and she loves the stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of that cool type of stuff that's there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. A lot of the vendors have some really interesting things. Yeah. So, something I wanted to bring up real quick was just kind of the process of going through the book publishing, because both you and Vanessa have been through this with Haunted Road Media, and I thought it was a interesting question that came up because I listened to a good portion of your interview that you had last night, and they were asking about parts that may have been cut out, were edited, were dismissed by me basically because I was the editor. And so I really appreciated how you answered that, where you basically told them that through Haunted Road Media, sure, there's some editing, there's some things that are spiffied up a little bit, but you were able to retain your voice. And so I just want to say I appreciate you saying that, because with the Haunted Road Media books, and I know, Vanessa, you can attest to this too, that is something that we try to strive for, is that these are your stories, these are your experiences, so it should be your voice that are telling these things.
That is 100% accurate, and for anyone that has any questions about that, I will tell you exactly what Mike said to me with my last book. He called me up and he goes, Vanessa, I got to take out the LOLs. Because
I did. Yeah. Just had a lot of LOLs and I was editing them like left and right.
Yeah, because I write how I speak.
Right. How you speak, yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I put LOL instead of ha ha ha. Okay.
Which I would have edited out too, by the way.
But he left in all my motherfuckers. He any curse words that I said.
You had some y'alls in there, and you had some fellas, and Yeah.
It makes it so personal to you, though, and. Honestly, Vanessa, when I read your book and some of those, like the fellas, the y'alls, everything like that, I'm like, I'm sounding like Vanessa right now. I have this Southern accent, and I'm turning into Vanessa. So, but yeah, no, I mean, but that's awesome that you do that. And when she asked me that last night, I took it as, did you cut stuff out and change anything? Kind of like, I was like, in my mind, she's asking basically, did you turn it Hollywood or something? Right. I don't know. But no, and just how I answered, I said, no, I mean, it's raw. It's exactly how I wrote it. And maybe there's a few different wordage, things there, but it's all there. It's everything that I wrote. And yeah, I mean, that's awesome that you do that you don't change it to something that isn't like right.
You and I can both attest to this, as I know Lee can, Adam can, everybody else can. Mike will never, ever, ever contact you and say, make this scarier.
No. It's all your story. Is whatever happened to you. So, like what you're talking about with your friend. I mean, that's scary enough. Don't need to add to that. Vanessa, what happened with you at that bar? I'm getting stuff mixed up. What happened with you at that barn? Yeah, that was scary enough.
Oh yeah.
So no, there's no Hollywooding it up.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, hey, let's make this just a little bit, a little more boo to it. It just doesn't happen that way. Mike doesn't roll that way.
The minute you do that too, and hopefully, I'm sure there are people out there that do that say, all the scary stuff is the best. But the minute you do that, it takes away the credibility.
Yes.
Jen with a $20 super chat. Hey, Jen, thank you very much.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
Appreciated. Thank you.
Well, Katie, you're so correct in that. And Mike and I have talked at great length on many shows about this. I mean, sure, is the scary stuff cool? Yeah. But what is even cooler is contacting the spirit, talking to them, finding out about their life, what message you can pass on. Can you give them peace? Do they even want it? That is the meat and potatoes. That is the bones of this entire field. And apparently, scaring people is more important. And I will disagree with that with my dying breath.
Well, come on, Vanessa. Everything's a demon.
Oh goodness.
So
I've had 2 people in the last 2 days message me about investigations and asking me if there was demons there, and I was just like, made me cringe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've turned off my notification ringer now at 10 o'clock every night.
Yeah.
Because it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Chuck Banks says, Mike, I'm a demon. I'm sure you are, Chuck.
Now that.
Yeah.
Well, and Vanessa, I even say in my book too, I talk about, so people can understand that paranormal is not just the scary stuff. It's not just bad spirits. And I mention that in there. I say, being paranormal doesn't mean it has to be scary. There's good ghosts out there. There's bad ghosts out there, just like the human race. I mean, because they were human one time. So,
but let's take it one step further. And Mike and I have discussed this on another show. So many people mistake what they consider to be an unpleasant experience with a demonic experience. And I talked about this on another show. One of the teams that I work with overseas, they were doing a private residence, and it got to be quite unpleasant, and they had to take it off of because they were keeping everybody's faces hidden, but they were still filming. They had to go off filming, and we were doing the read offline. The spirit that they were dealing with was autistic.
Oh wow!
An adult male autistic. He had no way of communicating in a proper manner, so everything seemed violent.
Mm-hmm.
And I equate it to, and tell me if you've had the same experience. You know, when you have one come up and touch you, and people say, oh, well, they hit me because it was hard. Imagine if you are in a bed for months. You have your muscles have, somewhat atrophied, or they've been without use. And you're finally getting, you've come out of that coma, and you're finally getting that energy and that will to move that one hand just a little.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's going to be slow and steady,
right?
Or you use your entire mind to force that hand to move, and it's a huge move.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody was sitting there, it would hit them, right?
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine not having corporal form. Imagine not having a body, but needing to touch somebody to let them know you're there.
Yep. And it's just like getting scratched.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like getting, it's their way to communicate. They may not, like I've told people before, and we even give lectures, on all this. Sometimes it takes a spirit just as much energy as it is to run a mile to say hello.
Yes.
And so people don't get that. The minute they get scratched, they're either saying, oh, it's a demon, or, oh, it's a malicious spirit, when that's not necessarily the case. That just may be the way they can communicate with you.
And we really don't have any idea how it works. We have a lot of theories, and we speculate a lot of how it works over there, but you're right. They may just be trying to reach out and say hello, and it accidentally comes out as a scratch. We don't know. We do have a $5 super chat from Zippy Davis, and I like his comment along with it. He says, insert comment here.
Oh.
So that's awesome.
Plenty.
Thank you, Zippy.
Well, Katie, with what you just said, that brings us back to the Joker.
Yeah. True.
If he comes around when you're not in his domain. Mm-hmm. He's coming for a reason.
Yeah.
At least give him to show you that reason.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see if he shows up this weekend, to see if, because when he's there. All of us do. It's not just me. We all can feel him. Just because
he's an asshole doesn't mean he's not protective.
He's a protective asshole. Nice.
He's a protective asshole.
Mike, I'm going to say something. I saw Adam come by on the chat at one point and asked about investigating the most haunted cemetery in, I think, the United States. The one in Kansas. What is it again, Adam? You're going to have to remind me. Oh, it begins with an S.
Are you going to come? Because if you're going to come, I'll go.
Let's see. Did I miss it? I know there's Stall, which is supposed to have the portal to
Stall,
hell.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Stall.
I'll meet you there.
We drove by and through the cemetery when we were back visiting Adam and Hannah last January maybe. And you get so many looks when you go through that cemetery because they hate it.
They know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw that go by and I thought that was funny. But
if it's on a weekend, just give me a couple of days notice and I will meet you there.
Yeah. I wonder.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Kansas City, or not Kansas City. We're going to be in Lawrence visiting Adam and Hannah in 2 weeks from Friday.
I'll be in Ireland.
You're going to be in Ireland. Oh, man. Just don't go to Ireland, right? Joking.
But the next time you do it, just give me a couple of days notice. If it's on a weekend, I'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, and we sometimes will go to Belvoir. So
that's a great place.
Oh, love it. Love that place.
Yeah, I haven't been in a number of years. That's where I haven't been since I first met Adam. That was 2011, 2010, something like that. We do have a question from the chat room. This is from Sandy CC Bort. I was taught to think that all spirits are demons, not human, but they disguise themselves. So I guess maybe comment on that.
That's you can believe what you want, but to me that's completely false.
Yeah.
Anybody that thinks that spirits are all demons disguising, we better all run and hide.
Yeah, I think what happens is you have these ultra religious households that have misinterpreted what's in the Bible. And I mean, I grew up in a religious household, but not, with that doctrine. But there are those that have that just very, very strict doctrine that for whatever reason they ingrain falsely into their children that, well, if it's a little bit of anything, then it has to be, from Satan, from the devil,
Let me put it this way. And I've said this before, I will say it again. People have been living and dying long before the written word of man. The Bible was written by man. So, I mean, you have stories of spirits that lead back 4,000 years ago. I'm going to be going to a place that is over 3,500 years old. So, I mean, no.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It's.
No.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. All right. A couple more questions. We are getting down toward the end of the show. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, man.
I know. It goes quick. From Andrew Cox. What do you think about Hummel Park, Nebraska? I guess, have you been to Hummel Park, Nebraska? No.
I have not.
All right.
I've been to Omaha and I've been to Gretna.
Okay.
So not too many places in Nebraska.
And B3 Airspace says if you guys go to Stull, she'll meet you there.
All right.
So.
Adam, we may have to make a trip to Stull in a few weeks.
There you go.
Oh, no, we have to wait for Vanessa.
We have to wait for Vanessa to get back.
Yeah, so sometime this summer.
There you go. Okay, Shay Carroll is posting another question from Spreaker. This actually would have been a great question for our guest from last week, William Stillman, because he's written a number of books about this, but it's getting thrown at you tonight, Katie.
Do my best.
This is from Matt. Being the parent of an autistic child, what is your opinion on autism in the paranormal? Is it interconnected?
Oh, man. Vanessa?
The first of Vanessa.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a hard question for me to answer. Just because I understand autism. I mean, I know what it is, but I think Vanessa would probably be a good one to answer that, just because I think she's probably had more experience in that than I have. So,
my best friend's son is autistic. And depending on the level of the spectrum that they're on, that can dictate what their fine motor skills are, speech ability, everything else, all those things that we take for granted. Now, when you look at it from a purely scientific point of view, let's say that somebody takes away your sight. All of your other senses become enhanced. If you can't speak, your other senses become enhanced. When you have autism, that can, and a lot of times does, wreak havoc on one or more of your senses, whether you have sensory overload or you have a sensory deficiency or whatever. It can be made up for in other areas. And it has been my understanding, and what I have witnessed in the many years that I have known my best friend and her son, he has special abilities. Can he relate them as we can? No. But they are there, and he lets you know in the best ways that he can. So I do believe that the two can be interconnected, simply because when you have, like I said, when you have certain things that are dampened down, you have other senses, mostly your sixth sense, that raises and makes up for it. It's kind of like your own inner self-protection thing that you have, whether it is, being empathic when you're autistic and understanding the emotions of others and doing the best you can to relate, whether it's knowing when you're around a bad person and to remove yourself from the situation, whatever. But yes, I have noticed, and And plus, I've worked with kids for 18 years. I'm a pediatric dental assistant. Worked on many autistic children. Yes, I do believe there's a connection.
So that could almost even just relate back to children being more vulnerable. Could even relate to something like that with the autism spectrum. I mean, with that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I think my dog wanted to say hi.
Well,
All right. All right. Well, we are at there he is. We are at our hour mark.
Okay.
So that's a great way to end. Katie getting her face slobbered by her dog.
Yeah.
So, well, Katie, really do appreciate you coming out and joining us this evening on what was supposed to be your book release night, but was last night.
It was the Kindle release.
Yeah, the Kindle came out today. But you know what's funny is that the date on it is actually yesterday's date, so go figure that.
Of course.
Of course. So, but they're both out there. You can find them Amazon.com. Also, you can go to hauntedroadmedia.com, and Katie's author page is out there as well as the book and all that. So, either place you can find that at. We've also been posting the links on like the Haunted Road Media page, and if you're connected to Katie on Facebook or other social media, then I'm sure you'll be able to find it there. So, all right, and need to give. I guess we got to do the shout outs, right?
Yeah, and I can't see them, so it's on you, honey.
Yeah, yep. And we'll show Katie's book here another time so you guys know what you're looking for. So it's called Seeing Spirits, Opening the Empathic Door. So, yeah, Katie, it was an absolute pleasure working with you on this book.
Oh, same with you guys. I'm ready for the next one now.
Already with plans for the second. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and also Katie will be there in June. Thank you, Shauna. In June at the... excuse me, at the Haunted Road Media Paracon. We'll need to get you to speak next time. I know we had filled up the speaker slots so fast.
I procrastinated.
Yeah, it's okay. So, but yeah, Katie will be there with her book as well. Yeah.
Hey, Katie, I'm only going to be speaking a short time, so we can make room for other people. Hop in there and speak with me. I'm going to be going over how to spot fake psychics.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys can tag team. Go for it.
Yeah. We got this.
All right. You guys have a half an hour to do what you want with. Go for it.
Absolutely.
All right.
We can do the take-up.
You can do that. So, yeah, for those of you that don't know, okay, Haunted Road Media Paracon, June 9th in Alton, Illinois at the Old Mineral Springs Hotel. It's 301 Broadway. And you can get all the information at facebook.com/hauntedroadmedia. That's our Facebook page. The event's out there. There's also a separate event that we made for the Paranormal Investigation that night. But you can get all the information there on the regular event as well. So it's going to be a great time. So without further ado, we can get to the shout outs. Also inside the Upside Down, we're talking reincarnation and past lives. So we did cover that a bit last year through a similar episode on Edge of the Rabbit Hole last year, but this is Inside the Upside Down, so we're going to have some new spins on it as well. So stay tuned for that. All right. So, we have some Super Chat Superstars that we need to get to here. And so that was Zippy Davis, Tom McNicholas, and Jen. Thank you very much. All three of you. All three of them are also on Patreon. Zippy, Tom McNicholas, Beat 3 Airspace, and Grizz are also our Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. So we appreciate all of their support. So there you guys go. Let's get into the other shout outs. Candy Orton was there. Thank you very much. Of course, there's our chat shenanigator who is going to be joining me for Inside the Upside Down, Shauna. My love. See, I already got Beat 3 Aerospace, and there's Grizz. Ren Oak, thank you very much for joining us again. Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast. Thanks again for joining us. Go check out their podcast as well. It's very good. Dawn, Spooky Spectacular, thank you again. Katie Palmer, thank you as always. Cheshire Cat, Donna Gorton. There you go. Thank you very much. Hope your wrist is doing better. M. Labuda 61, thanks for joining us again. Fungi. As always, I know Vanessa always laughs at the name. There's Beyond the Light Network, which is, of course, Chuck Banks. Thank you, Chuck. And Shay was out here as well, so thank you, Shay, for fielding the questions from the Spreaker chat. A lot of people in the chat tonight. So Diane Hilbert, thank you as always. Pamela Rainey, thank you as well. Fran Molino, back in the house. Thanks, Fran. Rebecca Gardner, thank you as always. Discord Threads, check out her wares. She has some cool stuff. Shay Carroll, Sean Oldsmith from Australia, thanks for joining us tonight. Who else do we have? Cheryl Midkiff, thank you again. And Charmy Charms Paranormal. There we go. Got another word at the end there. Bethany Warner, thank you. Yeah, yeah. He used to be Charmy Vapes. I think it was Charmy Vapes and Shits at one point, wasn't it? Lenora Martinez, thank you for joining us. Adam Tillery, so Adam, who has artwork in many illustrations in Katie's book. I think 6 of them, right? So yeah, check out his work and check out his book too. So great talent. Tim Schoen, thank you very much. We will be on his show soon. Joe Chandler, thank you for joining us tonight. I
saw Matthew Bennett Spreaker.
Yeah, Matthew Bennett. Okay, is she posting the Spreaker listeners? Matthew Bennett's a Spreaker. Okay, cool. Very cool. Yep. What else do we got? Scroll up a little bit more. And I mean, I know we had people in there earlier that had to bow out, like X Group Home Kid and some others. Super Woody Boy was in there, like right at the very beginning.
I think he's having to work a lot on Tuesdays.
He is. Yeah, he's had to work a lot on Tuesdays. So, all right. Well, I'll wrap it up there. So, if we missed you, it's no offense. There's just a lot of people in chat. So, all right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Check out Katie's book, Seeing Spirits. It's a fantastic read. A lot of interesting paranormal experiences within. So, give that a look. And, of course, stay tuned for Inside the Upside Down coming up next. Reincarnation. I'm going to be back here as quick as can be. As soon as I switch everything out, you might have to refresh the feed. So we'll see you in a little bit. Take care. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.